This is the best way to farm element. There's literally no better way to farm massive amounts of element in the current ARK meta. And I'm going to show you how you slot cap your resources in no time at all. After spawning into the Gamma Manticore arena, you mount your UT and whistle your Rexes to attack the Manticore by using the attack this target command while looking at the Manticore. To efficiently farm the Gamma Manticore, use the following dino setup. Your Rexes should have at least 25k HP and a minimum of 400 damage. Initially, your Rexes will remain stationary on the platform, because they cannot hit the Manticore while it is in the air. Periodically, the Manticore will land near your dinos, and if you've whistled your Rexes correctly, they will engage in combat with it. The Manticore itself doesn't deal excessive damage, but it's not to be underestimated. It does, however, have the ability to knock out your tanks, so you need to be cautious. Rexes have a relatively high resistance to being knocked out. During the battle, Deathworms and later rock elementals start spawning, posing a threat to your creatures as they can easily trap and kill them. After you kill the Manticore, you just run to the drop and pick up the element, and then you start all over again. The biggest difference when farming on Scorched Earth compared to the island is that on Scorched Earth many resources can be farmed at the same time and you don't need a separate dino for each resource. Chitin and Polymer can be farmed efficiently with a wyvern, and because the farm rate of the wyverns seem to have improved slightly compared to ASE, you don't even have to take a chainsaw with you, but you can collect massive amounts of Chitin and Polymer directly with your wyvern. To farm as much Chitin and Polymer as possible, simply mount your best wyvern and fly around the desert near the ground, so you can see which dinos spawn. It's best to farm mantis, these give good amount of Chitin, and when you farm them, they also give you Polymer. Atros give the most Chitin, but they also last the longest and your wyvern gets damaged when you hit the Atros. As the desert is full of bugs, you can basically farm all the dinos in the desert. If you're flying near the ground, watch out for small moving patterns on the ground. These show you where Deathworms are located. If you now have a good wyvern, preferably of the fire type, you can now kill the Deathworm for some extra poly and Chitin, but most importantly, the horns to tame a mantis later. Okay, we got the Chitin, but now we need massive amounts of stones to be able to craft the cementing paste. The best way to farm them is using a rock golem. Due to their size, health and weight stats, they are overall the best stone farmer in the current meta. They farm so much stone that you don't even notice that they also eat a small amount of the stone while they gather it. The good thing is that you can farm stone everywhere on Scorched Earth, because there is not much else except stone. You can basically slot cap your golem in a few minutes with stone. Golems also get a good amount of sand while farming stone. In my opinion, the Mantis is the greatest dino added with Scorched Earth. It is overall the best farmer and can gather all resources efficiently, depending on the tool it has equipped. The quality of the tool directly influences the amount of resources gathered from each node. It is great at gathering metal and flint. Equipped with a decent pick, it can farm loads of metal and flint. For flint, just hit the rocks on the ground. When farming metal, I like to use the spot north of the green obelisk, because I can use the obelisk for the travel trick, and therefore I can farm way more in less time. Obsidian and crystals can be found on the pillars in the middle of the river. The most efficient way to farm both resources is again using a mantis equipped with a pick. Depending on where you start, your mantis can jump from pillar to pillar, allowing you to gather enough crystal in less than a minute to build yourself a nice greenhouse or some rockets. Sulfur can mainly be found on the west side of the map, near the Wyvern Trench and in the church cave close to the artifact. In that area you can also find obsidian and crystal from time to time. The mantis cannot be carried by an Argentavis, you need to tame a wyvern instead. However, this shouldn't pose a significant challenge, since the wyvern is currently the favored flyer in the meta. Okay, Scorched Earth used to be the best map for farming pearls, but it has become much harder now, and the yield isn't as high as it used to be. However, with a high quality whip you can still gather loads of pearls at the red obelisk. Unfortunately, the spawns in the desert have disappeared, and they won't return. I suggest farming pearls during the night, because they shimmer in the darkness, making them much easier to spot. Many pearls can be found in the sand around the red obelisk, but you can also farm them in the water with an angler. With the chainsaw, we now have a great way to farm hide. Until now, hide was one of the worst resources to farm because we had no efficient method for it. The best way now is to grab a wyvern and a chainsaw, fly around the map, kill every large dino and then harvest it with the chainsaw. Last but not least, you need charcoal to craft ARB. The best place to farm this is at the blue obelisk with a chainsaw. This is where most of the trees grows, and there are also palm trees which provide additional wood when farmed. Why I say you should farm on the obelisk is because of the farm trick. Normally you're limited in farming by your weight stat. Now that the server transfer is open, we can use a new trick and you only need one whip. From now on, you farm all your resources in the obelisk until it is slot capped. When the obelisk is full, you throw out each stack individually. When all the stacks are on the ground, grab your whip and whip all the items in your inventory. Where you would normally be capped by your weight stat, you can now bypass it so that only your slot cap restricts you. You can no longer move, but now you can go into the obelisk and travel to another map. There you spawn in a bed that is right next to another obelisk, only to upload yourself back up there so that you can spawn into a bed right next to your forges. With transfer all, simply throw all your items into the forges and you're done.